December 7, 1941. After the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor, America was thrust into World War II, a war within which they were previously dormant. The fight consumed thousands of lives throughout the world, with seemingly no end. Even after Germany surrendered, the war against Japan in the Pacific raged on, turning into one of the bloodiest wars America had seen. Eventually, the time had come to end the war and stop the bloodshed. America was forced to drop what was not only a lethal shell of destruction, but a product of many scientists' calculations and their answer to the terror of war. The atomic bomb, a device so devastatingly powerful that it eradicated anything within a 4-mile radius, was about to wipe a city off the face of the earth. In July of 1939, Leo Szilard and Eugene Wigner met with Albert Einstein, asking him to sign a letter to President Franklin Delano Roosevelt. This letter would address Germany's recent research of atomic weaponry. Although Einstein didn't approve of atomic armaments, he recognized that the only way to combat this terror was to create weapons in America.
Well, I would say that their initial justification was they were really afraid that if they didn't try to make a bomb, the Germans would try and would succeed first, and that would be disaster. So the Americans figured they had to go ahead.
After the letter was received, Leslie Groves was placed as the head of this new project. With palpable pressure, America began a race against Germany to create atomic weaponry. If America was to fail, it would not only mean surrendering World War II, but surrendering the entire world to the hands of the Nazis. Groves selected J. Robert Oppenheimer to head the new Manhattan Engineer District that would be established to create a bomb. This type of work was controversial to some and troubling to many more, as they were working to create the most destructive weapon ever. However, despite moral obstacles, work began quickly. Enrico Fermi and his team of researchers created the first nuclear reaction in Chicago, and sites were set up to mine uranium. The project was moving rapidly, but where was it headed? And once the goal was achieved, would the consequences be too great? The answer to these doubts would only be found by making a weapon of war in order to ensure peace. The birthplace of the bomb would be Los Alamos, New Mexico, a site chosen for its natural isolation. By early 1943, Oppenheimer and his essential scientists, including Enrico Fermi, Edward Teller, and John von Neumann, moved into the location. Los Alamos was a shadow in the background of World War II America, but physicists worked feverishly for years to achieve a bomb. By spring of 1945, Oppenheimer had created the first design, labeled Fat Man.
Going into the project, there was a tremendous amount of uncertainty, yet at the same time, excitement about it.
These uncertainties were answered in the Trinity test on July 16, 1945, in Alamogordo, New Mexico. The 5-ton bomb was detonated in front of an audience of 1,000 scientists and military men at a safe distance. The resulting mushroom cloud was over 12,000 feet high, the flash was seen in 3 states, and the ensuing noise was a booming clap. Shaken by his beautiful yet jarring creation, Oppenheimer said,
"Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds."
The government took advantage of the new weapon and seized it immediately, with plans to use this ultimate artillery on Japan to end the war. The scientists at Los Alamos had multiple meetings where they debated over whether or not using the bomb would be ethical. Leo Szilard, the man who proposed the idea of the Manhattan Project, was ready to fight the bomb's use with all his might. But the scientists could only sit and watch helplessly as their device was about to be used. On August 6, 1945, following a warning from the United States and other nations, the aircraft Enola Gay dropped the untested little boy bomb over the Japanese city of Hiroshima. By the time the pilots of the craft flew away, the bomb erupted, unleashing a light equal to that of 20 suns and a blast that vaporized those in the immediate area. Devastation spread as fast as the fire which engulfed the town, as even the seemingly uninjured died days later of radiation sickness. But even when their bustling city turned into a wasteland, Japan didn't surrender immediately, prompting America to make a decision that is now a scar in our history. Just 3 days later, a Fat Man bomb, identical to the one dropped at Alamogordo, was dropped over the port city of Nagasaki. While the mountainous terrain and cloudy weather prevented the bomb from doing maximum harm, it still inflicted massive damage, destroying 44% of the city. The Japanese surrendered within days, but celebration was replaced with sadness and controversy. Was the second bomb necessary to ensure victory, or was it just a brutish measure for America to flex its muscles? The only other option to an atomic bombing was a massive invasion of Japan, costing thousands of Allied lives. But even if this was the case, not allowing Japan 4 days to respond to Hiroshima was extreme and cost thousands of innocent Japanese their lives. But despite these judgmental failures, these bombings introduced a new force to the world. This inspired fear in the hearts of enemies and apprehension in the souls of those using it. America had introduced a weapon that was too powerful for a world at war. America had introduced the bane of humanity. The media reacted quickly to the news of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. An unspoken war of opinions broke out between newspapers and scientific publishers. Newspapers warned of the implications of an atomic future, while magazines like Popular Science took an optimistic view on atomic technology, proclaiming a future with electric highways, unlimited electricity, and endless life. Eventually, because of their wide distribution and large influence, science magazines like Popular Science and Popular Mechanics implanted the notion of an atomic utopia into Americans' minds. But this sanguinity was soon shattered with the dropping of 2 more bombs, Able and Baker, in America's own Operation Crossroads. Disheartened by the continued militarization of atomic power, many announced the atomic bomb's 1-year anniversary as an unhappy birthday. An editor for Popular Science declared, "Man's greatest triumph over matter began as a bomb, and it is still a bomb. So this has been a lost year, a year of fear." Even past its 1-year anniversary, the atomic bomb would face many more tests before it effectively evolved into other technologies. Operation Castle, Operation Red Wing, and Operation Hardtack in 1954, 1956, and 1958 respectively were all tests of thermonuclear or hydrogen bombs in the atmosphere above Bikini and Eniwetok Islands. The hydrogen bomb was conceptualized at much the same time as the atomic bomb, when Enrico Fermi shared his theories with Edward Teller. The ideas entranced Teller, who tried to persuade Oppenheimer to research it further. Oppenheimer immediately refused, hesitant to create a weapon even more powerful than an atomic bomb after knowing what it could be used for. However, Teller helped to persuade Harry Truman to create a hydrogen bomb development program in hopes of deterring Soviet Russia's atomic ambitions. The hydrogen bomb's heat capacity and power far surpassed that of the atomic bomb, making it the most powerful weapon in existence to date. But nuclear energy is not always destructive. Nuclear energy can also be used to produce power. Controlled amounts of uranium can produce enough energy to power electrical generators. It was a marvel to civilians that the same technology used to make the most destructive force in human history could also power their cities efficiently for practically no money. As it turns out, there are consequences to using such dangerous and radioactive materials near civilians. The world saw these explosive consequences on April 26, 1986, when the 4th reactor at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant in Ukraine exploded. The explosion unleashed 55 tons of nuclear fuel into the atmosphere in the form of smoke and ash and claimed 30 lives. But nuclear power is rapidly becoming more sound as safety procedures evolve quickly to prevent such disaster. After the commercialization of atomic energy, uses and applications for this new technology skyrocketed. As the tools evolved, so did their potential in society. In 2009, 800 million kilowatt-hours were produced in atomic plants, compared to just 100,000 kilowatt-hours produced in 1973. Atomic batteries are used in spacecrafts, allowing them to travel for decades without sunlight. But atomic technologies also utilize the sterilizing properties of radiation. Today, hospitals use radiation treatments to kill cancerous cells and disinfect surgical tools. Even modern agriculture utilizes radiation to sterilize and curb the insect population, protecting plants and crops. After countless acts of devastation, mankind has finally learned from their mistakes. In only 60 years, the atomic bomb has transformed from the world's deadliest armament to a tool with more potential than any before it. As the human race progresses, we are faced with new and revolutionary discoveries, ones that could take us into a new realm of understanding or shake the foundations of Earth itself. With the ability to harness atomic energy, we are faced with a fork in the road of mankind's development. In World War II, we began down an explosive path that would lead us to destruction and desolation, an Armageddon on Earth. But as the technology became more sound, so did we, as we began to harness the power of the atom for the benefits it can bring and not for annihilation. Civilization progresses with innovation, but also with controversy and risk. With the atomic bomb, we face the largest risk in history. But as long as the quest for improvement sends us down the right path, the atom will help mankind achieve the greatness towards which we stride.